multiple murders occurred in the residential community. After the police surveyed the scene, all the suspicious points pointed to my boyfriend. My best friend, who works at the police station, called me. Shui Shui, leave your boyfriend right now. He is the murderer behind several homicide cases. I didn't dare to answer, because at this moment, my boyfriend was right behind me. Baby, what are you chatting about so deeply that you didn't even notice I came over? My boyfriend stood behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist, sniffing the fragrance in my hair. I didn't dare to move. I didn't know if he had heard the phone call between my best friend and me. I forced a smile that looked uglier than crying, and slowly turned around. My boyfriend, Gu Lingyu, was an arrogant school bully in college who often bullied others, but to me, he was flawlessly good. I couldn't believe that such a person could be the murderer of several homicide cases. I tentatively opened my mouth. There have been several murders in the neighborhood recently. What do you think? My boyfriend looked at me with confusion. Why, are you interested in this matter? I shook my head. No, just asking casually. My boyfriend chuckled and slowly said, Baby, having too much curiosity is not a good thing, you know. All the hairs on my body stood up at this moment. I couldn't help but feel that my boyfriend's words had a hidden meaning. At night, taking advantage of my boyfriend falling asleep, I came to his private study. He usually never let me near this study, but now I increasingly felt that all the secrets were hidden in this room. Driven by curiosity, I slowly twisted the door handle. It actually required a password. I became even more curious. I entered my boyfriend's birthday. Incorrect password. I entered my birthday. Incorrect password. There was only one last chance for error. If the third entry was wrong, the door lock would automatically lock down. I pondered for a long while and suddenly thought of a date. I tried entering it. Ding! Password correct. The layout in the study was very simple, consisting entirely of bookcases filled with all kinds of books. In the exact center of the room was a computer. I casually pulled out a book, and the content on it was actually about the 108 acupoints of the human body. I pulled out another book, and it was human anatomy. Since when did Gu Lingyu like reading such books? You must know that back in college, he would get a headache just seeing a book. My gaze turned to the computer. My hand touched the mouse, and the computer screen lit up. It actually required a password again. I pressed a few numbers that I knew by heart and easily unlocked the computer. There was a folder on the computer desktop that was unexpectedly conspicuous. Driven by curiosity, I clicked it open. The pictures that entered my eyes made my pupils shrink. Those were pictures of those women dying tragically. Some were disfigured, some were dissected. Some had their eyes gouged out. There were all kinds of ways of dying, and their death states were miserable. After looking at a few pictures, my whole body began to tremble. Could Gu Lingyu really be the murderer of these several homicide cases? Why did he want to kill those women? While I was deep in thought, a figure gradually approached. Baby, you are really not being good. Gu Lingyu walked behind me, wrapped his hands around my waist, and whispered in my ear, How should I punish you? His breath rushed against my face. When did you wake up? I was greatly shocked. Gu Lingyu chuckled lightly, making all the hairs on my body stand up, as if I were being targeted by a wild beast. Baby, I already told you not to have such heavy curiosity. It can kill people. Why just won't you listen? Gu Lingyu took out his phone and played the conversation between my best friend and me. Shui Shui, leave your boyfriend right now. He is the murderer behind several homicide cases. So he knew everything. He just calmly watched me step into the trap step by step without showing any emotion. I was just about to speak when a sharp pain came from my neck. Before falling into a coma, I saw him throw away the syringe in his hand. Am I the next target? When I opened my eyes again, "Shui Shui, you're finally awake, thank goodness." Seeing me wake up, Xie hurriedly called the doctor in to give me a full-body examination. In her words, falling into the hands of that murderous demon Gu Lingyu, there was no telling what poison he might have given me. The doctor carefully examined me inside and out twice. Apart from feeling a bit drowsy, I hadn't suffered any harm. Xie was confused. Could it be that the murderous demon discovered his conscience? I asked her what exactly had happened. She said, "You have already been in a coma for 3 days. That day, when the phone was suddenly hung up, I sensed something was wrong. But afraid of alerting the snake in the grass, I prepared to take action at night. I happened to run into Guziyu preparing to load the unconscious Yu into a car. I led my team members to swarm up and immediately subdued him." As Xie and I were chatting, her phone rang at this moment. The two of us grew up together and had almost no secrets. She answered it directly in front of me. A moment later, she flew into a rage. "You bunch of idiots! How could you let him escape? What are you all good for? All that daily training was for nothing." I vaguely realized that Gu Lingyu had escaped. After my best friend hung up the phone, she was panting with anger. She still didn't forget to comfort me. "Shui Shui, don't be afraid. I have already ordered a city-wide wanted notice. That bastard Gu Lingyu won't be able to escape even if he grows wings." I'm not afraid. Instead, it's you who shouldn't make yourself sick with anger. When will you ever change this irritable temper of yours? I smiled and comforted her. My best friend looked embarrassed. "I just have this temper. I'm afraid I won't be able to change it in this lifetime." The next day, when I was discharged from the hospital, the police immediately came to find me. "Hello, Miss Pei Shui. I have some questions I'd like to ask you." The person who came was a relatively young police officer, with a rather square face and a meticulous demeanor. My best friend hurriedly blocked in front of me. "Fang Qin, what are you trying to do? Shui Shui is very weak right now and needs to go back to rest. She has no time to answer your questions." So the young police officer was named Fang Qin. "Miss Pei Shui." Fang Qin completely ignored my best friend. His gaze swept straight towards me. I held down my best friend, who still wanted to lash out, and nodded at him. "Officer Fang, if you have any questions, just ask directly. I will certainly tell you everything I know." "This is not a place to talk. Come with me." Fang Qin directly ushered us to get in the car. I told my best friend to go back first, but she insisted on staying by my side no matter what. Her stubborn temper gave even Fang Qin quite a headache, so he could only let her tag along. Fang Qin brought us to the door of my house. "You don't mind if I go in and sit for a bit, do you?" His tone was very blunt, without the slightest intention of negotiating. My best friend wanted to lose her temper again, but I stopped her in time and said to him, "Of course I don't mind." Saying that, I took out the key and opened the door. The room was a mess, with traces of being searched everywhere. I frowned. There was simply nowhere to step. Fang Qin bypassed us, looking around on his own. Fang Qin nodded and continued speaking. "The layout of the room seems to be the style Miss Pei Shui likes. It seems Mr. Gu Lingyu cares a lot about Miss Pei Shui." I frowned. My best friend spoke up directly. "Fang Qin, what exactly are you trying to say? You might as well just say it straight. There's no need to beat around the bush like this." Fang Qin took out a few photos and laid them out one by one in an empty spot. I took one look and only felt so sick that I wanted to vomit. These were the women who had been killed. Miss Pei Shui should recognize these victims. Fang Qin stared intently into my eyes and spoke in a deep voice. I looked at those women whose faces could not be clearly seen, and after a moment, I shook my head. Sorry, I don't know them. I can't help Officer Fang. Fang Qin's gaze was sharp as he continued. How could you not know them? They were all from the same university. Should I know them just because we were from the same school? Officer Fang, a school has thousands, if not tens of thousands of students. Can you guarantee that you know all the colleagues in your police station? I did not shy away at all, looking directly into his eyes and asking in return. Indeed, you might not know alumni from the same school, but you can't possibly not know classmates from the exact same class, right? Fang Qin continued his interrogation. As far as I know, the 5 victims were all female. They all went to the same school as Miss Pei Shui. Even more uncoincidentally, they were actually in the exact same grade and the exact same class as Miss Pei Shui. You surnamed Fang. What exactly are you trying to say? Hasn't the murderer already been confirmed? Isn't it Gu Lingyu? What is the meaning of you being so aggressive here? If you have this free time, don't you know to go catch Gu Lingyu? My best friend's explosive temper flared up all at once, unleashing a torrent of words at Fang Qin. This conversation ended on a sour note due to my best friend's obstruction. But I vaguely realized that Fang Qin was suspecting me. Yet, I didn't understand why he would suspect me. I looked at my best friend with confusion and asked her in puzzlement. My best friend waved her hand. Don't pay attention to that psycho. He's always suspicious of this and that every day. He is always thinking he's so great. He actually didn't even put me in his eyes. Another day, I absolutely must have my dad tell him to pack up and go home. I thought about the names of the few victims Fang Qin had just mentioned, but after thinking for a long time, I still came up with nothing. The 5 victims were all female, in the same class as me. The victims, Li Mengmeng, Liu Yi, Qin Yue, Wang Anya, An Mengmeng. My brain suddenly experienced a burst of severe pain. A missing piece of memory just couldn't be pieced together, no matter what. I held my aching head and squatted on the ground. My best friend hugged me tightly. If your head hurts, don't think about it. If you can't remember, just don't think about it. Ching Ching, what exactly is my missing memory? I spoke with difficulty. That is an unimportant memory. If it's missing, it's missing. If you can't remember, don't think about it. My best friend massaged my temples for me. A few days later, there was an emergency meeting at the station, and my best friend had to go back. Before leaving, she urged me, "You absolutely must not run around. Wait until I'm done with work, and I'll come over to keep you company." I smiled and agreed. After she left, I got up and went out. Unknowingly, I walked to the murder scene. This place had already been sealed off, and no one was allowed to enter. I looked at the scene before me, and images flashed through my mind. Someone patted me on the shoulder from behind. I looked back. Miss Pei Shui, what a coincidence we meet again. It's not a coincidence. It should be Officer Fang specially waiting here to catch the rabbit by the tree trunk, right? I said softly. Fang Qin smiled. Miss Pei Shui, I wonder if we could step aside to talk. Fang Qin, without allowing any explanation, took me to a quiet private room. He took out his phone. The headlines on it were eye-catching. Female college student suffers bullying and miscarries. Female college student pregnant out of wedlock. I looked at the reports on it. The photos inside were already blurry due to the long time that had passed, completely unreadable to see the original appearance. The contents inside were so familiar, Yet I couldn't remember where I had seen them. Just say whatever you want to say. I put down the phone and looked at the man in front of me, trying time and time again to dig up evidence that I am the murderer. What good does it exactly do for you? 8 years ago, there was a case of school bullying that made it to the trending searches, and the bullied girl was named Pei Shui. At that time, Pei Shui came from a small place. Because of her excellent grades, she was exceptionally admitted by the school. But because she was incompatible with the nobles of the school, she suffered long-term bullying. Those classmates bullied her and ostracized her. They took her to the rooftop, slapped her face, made her kneel, and subjected her to all kinds of humiliation. She asked the teacher for help, and the teacher directly ignored her. She reported it to the grade director, and the grade director paid no attention. She complained to the principal, and the principal impatiently drove her out. Just because the few people who took the lead in bullying her were top-tier figures. The school authorities didn't dare to offend them and could only turn a blind eye to it. And those few people who took the lead in humiliating her back then have now all died tragically. I listened quietly, as if to a story that didn't belong to me, with no ripples in my heart at all, until Fang asked me, "Miss Pei Shui, do you think all this is just a coincidence?" I replied, "Officer Fang, catching a thief requires stolen goods, and catching adulterers requires seeing them. To determine that I am the murderer based solely on an old, stale case from years ago is a bit too arbitrary, isn't it? Furthermore, if you have evidence, please bring it out. You are welcome to arrest me. But if there is no evidence, please do not convict based on so-called imagination. As you said, they had domineering personalities and definitely bullied more than one person. Did they not bully others? After coming out to work, did they not bully people? There are so many victims. Why do you just hold on to me and not let go?" Miss Pei Shui, that's a good question. Because the suspect is the person closest to Miss Pei. Only the suspect has this ability and motive to commit the crime. I let out a sneer. What a flawless reason. Officer Fang, I'll still say the same thing. If you have evidence, come and arrest me. If there is no evidence, please do not make wild speculations. I still have things to do. What, I hit the nail on the head and you're flying into a rage out of humiliation? Fang was aggressive. I ignored him and turned to leave. I knew that all this was just his guess. If he had evidence, he wouldn't be testing me time and time again. A week later, I was kidnapped. The kidnapper was exactly my boyfriend, Gu Lingyu. He called my best friend and demanded a ransom of 1 million. By the time my best friend brought people over, I was already tied to a tree. Behind me was a continuously flowing river. At this time, Gu Lingyu was unbearably scruffy, his face full of stubble. It was evident that he hadn't been living well during this period. "Gu Lingyu, don't do anything reckless." My best friend's gun muzzle pointed straight at him. He hid. The gun in Gu Lingyu's hand pressed against my forehead. "You guys seemingly don't understand human speech." Gu Lingyu smiled sinisterly, pointing the muzzle at my thigh. The sound of the bullet entering flesh was clearly audible. I panted in pain as blood flowed down my thigh. "Gu Lingyu, are you crazy? That's the major artery. It can kill people." My best friend yelled and tried to rush over, but was grabbed and held back by Fang. "So what? She's just one among thousands of women. If she dies, she dies. I've already killed so many people. One more doesn't make a difference." Saying that, he whispered in my ear, "Right, baby? Gu Lingyu, bandage her up first." What does that have to do with me? Whether she can live completely depends on the speed at which you guys get the money. When the money arrives, I'll let the person go. Over there, only my best friend's cursing could be heard. One moment she cursed Gu Lingyu for being a bastard. The next moment she cursed about why the money hadn't been brought yet. Time passed minute by minute, and my legs were already soaked in fresh blood. Gu Lingyu, let Shui Shui go. I'll be your hostage. My best friend roared in anger and was about to rush over right then. Fang grabbed her. Don't do anything reckless. If something happens to you, I won't be able to explain it to the chief. My best friend flung his hand away and cursed at him. It's all your fault. If you had caught Gu Lingyu, this murderous demon, earlier, how would there be so many issues? Fang Chen's eyes darkened. He then spoke up. Gu Lingyu, I don't believe you will kill the hostage. I bet you won't kill her. Saying that, he immediately issued an order. Everyone attack. I will bear all responsibility. Let me see who dares, my best friend roared. Nobody is allowed to move. Whoever dares to hurt Shui Shui, I will make them pay. The scene was deadlocked here for a moment. With the sound of a car, the person getting the money returned. Gu Lingyu, the money is all in the car. Let the person go. Gu Lingyu untied my ropes and threatened. Everyone step back for me. Do not step back, Fang Chen spoke. I felt myself getting weaker and weaker, my body's functions gradually draining away. At the moment I fell down, I heard a gunshot, and then I fell into a coma. When I woke up again, I was still in the hospital. Beside me was still my best friend keeping me company. My best friend hurriedly called the doctor over to examine me. After a comprehensive examination, the hospital suggested I stay hospitalized for observation. This time, the injury was quite severe, and I almost couldn't be saved. Where is Gu Lingyu? I asked weakly. I feel like he should be dead, my best friend said uncertainly. Why should be? I asked in confusion. At that time, your physical strength failed and you fainted. That guy still wanted to use you as a hostage. At the critical moment, that guy Fang Qin was a real man. He fired a shot and directly hit him. Then he fell into the river behind him. Didn't they send someone to salvage his body? I asked doubtfully. My best friend explained. They had people go down and look. The river water is bottomlessly deep. Moreover, he also took a bullet. It's estimated that there is no possibility of survival. I remained silent and did not speak again. This hospitalization lasted a month. Only after the wound healed did my best friend let me leave. The second day after returning home, Fang Chen came to my door again. I showed impatience on my face. Officer Fang, if you have not grasped any substantive evidence, please do not come to bother me. Miss Pei Shui, don't be in a rush to drive people away. Fang Chen entered the door directly and, without waiting for my consent, walked straight to the coffee table. He took out a few photos and some not-so-new newspapers from his bag. Fang Chen spoke. Miss Pei Shui, during this time we visited many places. Among them are Gu Lingyu's hometown, your hometown, as well as your alma mater. So, I sat down on one side of the sofa. Miss Pei Shui, let me tell you a story. Without waiting for my reply, he already started narrating. Miss Pei Shui and Mr. Gu Lingyu were elementary school classmates, or it could be said, childhood sweethearts. The relationship between you two was always very good. Your grades were very good, and you were admitted to your ideal university. But Gu Lingyu's grades were a complete mess. In order to follow and protect you, Gu Lingyu latched on to Li Mengmeng, the only daughter of Director Li of the university. Through Li Mengmeng's connections, he got his wish and attended the same university as you. But because of his excessive care for you, it aroused Li Mengmeng's jealousy. She united with others to oppress you. She united with Liu Yi, Qin Yue, Wang Anya, An Malmu, and others to oppress you. You silently endured it for 3 years. Until the 4th year, due to an accident, you fell from the 2nd floor. When you were sent to the hospital, you had already miscarried. This blow caused you to lose your memory. Later, Gu Lingyu took you away from this city. When we met again, it was already 8 years later. You guys came back, and the 5 people who caused your miscarriage died. The behind-the-scenes murderer was Gu Lingyu. Because of you, he tortured and killed 5 young girls in a row. And the main culprit of all this is you. Fang Qin quietly recounted, while I had already powerlessly slumped onto the floor. The floor was very cold, but nowhere near as cold as my heart. Tears fell silently. I remembered everything. So, Officer Fang, are you going to arrest me and bring me to justice now? I looked at him stubbornly. May I ask which law I have broken? In this incident, from beginning to end, I have been a victim. Indeed, Miss Pei Shui has never broken a single law. What's touching is that Gu Lingyu has already taken the blame, and he has already confessed. This matter seems to have drawn to a perfect close here. But Miss Pei Shui, is the truth really like this? Fang Qin stared at me with burning eyes, speaking word by word. Officer Fang is so immensely resourceful. You could even find our hometowns. What else is there that you don't know? Could there still be hidden details in the truth of the facts? I looked at him mockingly. If it weren't for the person in front of me, Gu Lingyu wouldn't have died. Therefore, facing the person in front of me, I no longer had a good expression. There are still some suspicious points in this matter. I will continue to investigate. As for the truth, one day it will come to light. Fang Qin left this sentence and strode away. In the following 2 months, according to my best friend, Fang Qin had been investigating the suspicious points of Gu Lingyu's case. According to him, this matter absolutely had hidden details. After hearing this, my heart had no ripples at all. 2 months later, Fang Qin knocked on my door again. Miss Pei Shui, presumptuous of me to interrupt, I hope you don't mind. My best friend on the side peeked her head out. Seeing the visitor, she flew into a rage. You surnamed Fang. You really are endless, aren't you? Believe it or not, I'll directly have my dad fire you. Fang Qin directly ignored my best friend and said to me, Miss Pei Shui, there is something I want to ask Pei Shui. The implication was that he didn't want a third person to hear these words. You surnamed Fang. You're really pushing your luck. Who gave you the right to control me? My best friend was about to rush up. I hurriedly stopped my best friend's nonsense. Under my earnest persuasion, my best friend left my house, cursing and swearing. Officer Fang, let's get straight to the point. I don't want to get tangled up too much. I cut straight to the chase. Officer Fang walked into the living room on his own and sat down. The murderer of those several homicide cases is you, right, Miss Pei Shui? Fang Qin's shocking words made my heartbeat suddenly slow down for a second. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Hasn't Gu Lingyu already confessed? How is it that coming out of Officer Fang's mouth, the murderer has become me again? A moment later, I regained my reason and asked in return. Miss Pei Shui's psychological quality is really good. No wonder you escaped suspicion time and time again. Fang Qin looked at me with approval. Thank you. Being praised by the famous Officer Fang really makes me feel overwhelmed, I replied indifferently. Fang Qin smiled and said, Gu Lingyu is just a scapegoat. The real behind-the-scenes culprit is Pei. I still say the same thing. Bring out the evidence, I replied helplessly. During this time, I went to visit your middle school and high school classmates again. Gu Lingyu had the nickname of a school bully in school, and often loved to bully others. But every time, the people he bullied were the people who had a grudge against you. If this can be called evidence, then I have nothing to say. I stared at him and smiled as I spoke. Naturally, it's not just this. Miss Pei doesn't need to rush. Thang Chin sat on the sofa, pondered for a moment, and continued speaking. A lot of evidence is revealed from some details. For example, the layout of this room. This is the shared home of you two. All the styles are entirely according to Miss Pei's preferences. This is the first point showing he cares about you. After he became the school bully, the people he bullied were all people who had a grudge against you. In other words, he was taking revenge for you in disguise. This is the second point showing he cares about you. That time kidnapping you and even shooting you, it was entirely him using his life to clear your suspicion, just to create the illusion that you two were at odds. This is the third point. Besides, at the crime scene, I found faint traces of high heels. As far as I know, at the time of the incident, you guys were not together at all. According to Gu Lingyu's route at that time, he simply didn't have time to kill people and then destroy the corpses and erase the traces. Then there is only one possibility. Hearing this, my curiosity was also piqued. What possibility? The murderer is you. After you killed the people, you were coincidentally discovered by Gu Lingyu passing by. And he helped you destroy the corpses. He helped you destroy the corpses and erase the traces together, even helping you create a perfect alibi. This time, the two of us talked for a long time. So long that the sun went down without us realizing it. Listening to every point he analyzed, my admiration for this man in front of me increased by a few degrees. But on one point, his direction was wrong. While making his statement, he constantly observed my expression. I was not frightened by him. After sending him away, I sat alone in the living room for a long time, and also pondered for a long time. I turned on the computer and wrote in my diary, "The love between Muhua and Xiaohua, after all, cannot be hidden." Xiaohua thought that by using himself as bait, using his life to set up a trap, he could protect Muhua's safety. But little did he know, a clever hunter had long hidden in the dark, only to deal a fatal blow to Muhua at the critical moment. After sending the hunter away, Muhua remembered what Xiaohua had said. Remember, the deaths of these people have absolutely nothing to do with you. I killed all these people. I am the murderer. It has not the slightest bit to do with you. Even if someone questions you, you know nothing. Xiaohua said, I use myself as bait, use my life to set up a trap, to protect you completely. Xiaohua said, be good. The shot I fire at you later will hurt a little. Bear with it. Only in this way can your suspicion be cleared. Xiaohua said, I know clearly the 108 acupoints of the human body. I will shoot this bullet at an acupoint similar to the major artery. It looks very scary, but actually there is no danger to life. Xiaohua exhausted everything for Muhua, including his life. Muhua cried her heart out. She wanted to go to the underworld together with Xiaohua, but helplessly she couldn't bear to part with the little life in her belly. After finishing writing these on the computer, 2 streams of clear tears slid down from the corners of my eyes. I gently stroked my already slightly bulging lower abdomen, the corners of my mouth curving bitterly. Baby, our current life was exchanged with Daddy's life. You must be well. Suddenly, I paused abruptly. Wait, something seemed wrong. Why would Fang Chen find high heel prints at the crime scene? Is all this a coincidence? Or is someone planting evidence? Gu Lingyu thought I killed the people, so he took the blame for me. But although I had the thought of killing them, and also formulated countless murder plans, I hadn't had time to implement any of them yet. Therefore, the murderer is someone else. Gu Lingyu and I both became that person's scapegoats. Who exactly is it? I sorted out the clues in my mind bit by bit, and suddenly thought of a very terrifying possibility. Gu Lingyu thought I was the murderer. I thought he was the murderer, so I covered for him everywhere. If neither of us is the murderer, then who exactly is the murderer? A figure suddenly surfaced in my mind. Could the murderer be her? The second day, I invited my best friend Xie Qing to meet at my house. Early in the morning, I prepared fresh ingredients, cooked several sumptuous dishes, and quietly waited for my best friend's arrival. "Smells so good! My Shui Shui's culinary skills are great," my best friend yelled exaggeratedly as soon as she entered the door. I stared at her quietly. How come I never noticed before that her actions were so artificial? "What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" My best friend's face was full of confusion. "Do you hate me?" I asked softly. "Why would I hate you? We have a friendship of playing together since we were little. I don't even have enough time to like you." My best friend came forward and touched me. "No fever. Why are you talking nonsense?" "Then why did you kill them and frame me, ultimately causing Gu Lingyu to die tragically?" Regarding this matter, I truly did not understand. I also believed I had not offended her in any way. My best friend's action of picking up food froze there. She looked up and quietly looked at me for a long while, and then softly laughed. "Shui Shui, what are you talking about? I don't understand." I looked at her eyes. I said the behind-the-scenes murderer of those several homicide cases is you. And after you killed them, you forged the scene. Only this made Gu Lingyu think that I killed them, thereby taking the blame for me and dying tragically. My best friend still smiled. My family's Shui Shui is still as smart as ever. I stood frozen in place as if struck by lightning. The murderer really was her. I questioned her why she wanted to do this. She shed her previous attitude. She sat there quietly, as if she had become a different person. She asked me, "Didn't those people deserve to die?" I should have thought of it earlier. How could a person who grew up in that kind of environment be purely ignorant and naively sweet? It was nothing but a disguise. Naturally, they deserved to die. But why did you frame me? She seemed to see my confusion and spoke up to answer. "Because only if the murderer was you would Gu Lingyu take the blame. The bullying you suffered in school, just thinking about it makes me wish I could cut them into 1,000 pieces. Killing them just like this was indeed letting them off too easy. As for Gu Lingyu, these several cases must have a murderer plead guilty. Otherwise, this case will be investigated endlessly. Fang Qin is a meticulous person. It's hard to guarantee he wouldn't trace it back to me." "You killed them for me?" My heart was extremely broken at this moment. My best friend killed people but framed me, and the person I loved the most died tragically because of this case. "Otherwise?" She tilted her head and asked in return. From my best friend's mouth, I learned the whole truth of the matter. After my best friend murdered those few people, she left my evidence at the scene. She lured Gu Lingyu to the crime scene. Gu Lingyu thought I was the murderer, so he immediately wiped away all traces and left his fingerprints. At that time, I had lost my memory, and the baby in my belly was also affected. What Gu Lingyu injected me with was not poison at all. It was a normal nutritional injection, plus a little medicine, to make a person fall into a coma. And my best friend and Gu Lingyu had long reached a cooperation to use Gu Lingyu's life in exchange for my safety. Everything, starting from that phone call my best friend made to me, Gu Lingyu's death was already slowly advancing. I looked at this unfamiliar best friend in front of me, only feeling a chill in the bottom of my heart. "Shui Shui," she said. "Even if I were to scheme against everyone in the world, I would not harm you." I roared. "You killed people and framed me, and you call this not harming me?" If Gu Lingyu hadn't taken the blame for me, at this time I'm afraid I would have long been executed by shooting as the murderer, right? My best friend shook her head slowly. "I wouldn't let you die. I had it all thought out. If Gu Lingyu clung to life and feared death, unwilling to take the blame, then I would activate the second plan. It would just be more troublesome. Shui Shui, I said it, I wouldn't let you die." After Xiaoqing left, I slumped weakly on the ground. As big as the world is, it seemed only I was left alone. I touched my bulging lower abdomen and smiled bitterly. "Baby, your daddy was just a fool. He took the blame. He rushed to take the blame without even figuring out who the murderer was. You absolutely must not learn from your daddy in the future." I looked at the sky outside the window, choking with silent sobs. "Gu Lingyu, I miss you." But regrettably, Gu Lingyu could never hear it again. The clouds in the sky seemed to have all turned into Gu Lingyu's appearance. He smiled and said, "Pei Shui, live on well. Live on happily." I closed my eyes and let the tears flow.